Hello.
Yeah, that's Elvis from Cameroon.
Yes, Elvis, how are you? So, great evening. Yes, I'm all the way in Cameroon today. This is Gwen Tani, founder of Standards Excellence Care Property Experts, but also the vibrant entrepreneur working on making sure that ETAAN Entrepreneurs Take Action Africa Now becomes a solid resource for up and coming entrepreneurs, where we put entrepreneurs who have seasoned experience, who have lived the life, walked the walk in Cameroon and all of Africa, and we put them in contact with aspiring entrepreneurs who want to head down that same path of making sure that we can make Africa the great continent that we know that it can be. So today on this videocast, I have this is going to be my most exciting conversation because AlainFeussi, I met him by accident and I have come to rely on him like you will not even believe it. He is a seasoned accountant, and one of the things that has been a big drawback for most entrepreneurs in Africa is our ability to be able to be on point with all of the regulatory documentation that is needed to run your business. And in particular, if you live in the United States and you want to be able to include your business in Africa with your business in the United States, that's often a challenge. You don't know where to go. You don't even know where to start. This call is surely going to be for you. So I'm encouraging all of you to sit down, take your paper and pen, paper, pen, and you're going to jot down a few notes. And if you love what we tell you, I want you to subscribe to this channel. Just comment below. It really helps educate me as to what I need to do for the next call, who I want to interview. But let me tell you, it is one of those things that when you are looking to come to Africa, the biggest thing, especially in Cameroon, my experience, is knowing how to start or open up a business, and what are the documentation that you need, and what are the financial obligations that you need. And it is my sincere opinion that you need to contact a seasoned have a seasoned law firm, but also have a seasoned accounting firm in your pocket. And that's what they are. They are a seasoned accounting firm. Now, in addition to that, Alan also works out of the United States. So think about getting the best of both worlds. So let me read you a little bit about his bio here. He's a managing partner and co-founder to the bilingual firm, which is both French and English, of Feussi & Moza, LLP, in the United States, and its subsidiary, Femo Limited, in Douala, Cameroon. So with over 16 years of progressive accounting and information systems experience in various industries, Alan has a brevet de technicien supérieur, that's BTS, en comptabilité in Cameroon, a BSc in accounting in the United States. He attended an MBA in information systems using SAP in Central Michigan University. And as a professional, Alan is an active member of the New Jersey State Board of Accountancy, active member of the Virginia Board of Accountancy, an active member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, AICPA, and an SAP Certified Associate. Need I say more? Alan began his career in 2003 as an accounting assistant in a plastic manufacturing company in Douala, Cameroon. He continued as an accountant and tax professional, then chief accountant at various different companies, including La Congolaise de Congélation Hôpital Saint-Jean de Metz. Then he moved to the USA in 2011 and worked successively as a financial analyst with Colgate-Palmolive, North America, Siemens Energy, North America, and then senior financial analyst with Johnson & Johnson, Inc. He then became an associate manager with Accenture in the finance and SAP practice division. So through these different reputable Fortune 500 companies, Alan has gained an extensive accounting experience in a variety of industries, including real estate, chemical marketing, chemical manufacturing, pharmaceutical, consumer goods, technology, healthcare, and nonprofit organizations. Alan has expertise in providing comprehensive accounting and assurance services, including insurance services, including individual corporate, partnership, and nonprofit income tax returns and audits, compilations, and payroll tax reports. In addition, Alan has expertise in consulting, implementing, and supporting computerized accounting systems such as QuickBooks Online, Desktop, and SAP implementation, SAP ECC, SAP 5/4HANA at top industries in Fortune 500 companies. As a co-founder to Feussi and Moza LLP in the United States and its subsidiary, FEMA Limited in Douala, Cameroon, Alain and his partner, Mr. Silva, have the motivation to promote and help small and medium-sized businesses with various value-added services, developing accounting and tax strategies to boost small business performance, productivity, and accounting and tax compliance both in the United States and Central Africa. Alan puts ethics above all things, I can attest to that, and deliver value-added services with integrity and professional competence. So it is my honor, my privilege. I'm so blessed that he is sharing his time with us. I welcome Monsieur AlainFeussi. Are you there?
Thank you so much. That's a flattering introduction. Yes, and I can attest that it's been a long journey, going from Cameroon, landing in US, and then continue to do the same thing that you enjoy. It's actually been a blessing for me.
So before you go any further, because everything that you have to say is really important, can you up your mic a little bit? Because we're barely able to hear you.
Okay, is it better now?
No.
Try more.
You sounded great before. So you're gonna have to get really close to the mic.
Oh?
We get you, go ahead.
Thank you so much for that flattering introduction, Ms. Gwen. So, as you just said, that's the summary of my story so far. Having to go from Cameroon and land in the US and continue to do exactly the same thing you enjoy, it has always really been a blessing. And that's why I'm here today to kind of share that, that same enthusiasm and that same entrepreneurial spirit with everyone who's going to have a chance to either listen to this call or is live into this call. So here today I have with me my partner, Silva Menuza. This is the Moza in the Feussi and Moza LLP. And I also have our Cameroon manager, which is Elvis. He is also in the call. So that's together we form a really transcontinent, across the board financial firm that actually offer that expertise, not just here in the US, but in Cameroon.
Wow, wow. And that gives us such a great comfort level, knowing that there's a team of professionals that support the work that you do, that support us as entrepreneurs. So thank you for the introduction and welcome.
Thank you.
So we have a bunch of questions and we're going to do this a little different. I love the fact that you've prepared this wonderful PowerPoint presentation. As I said, folks, you're really in for a treat. So what I want you to do is to guide me and tell me how you want me to move this forward. And then I hope we have the opportunity to ask you questions. And forgive me if I stop you in between to ask a few questions, okay?
Okay, okay.
All right.
Yes, so we kind of go, we can start from the first page if you can get back again. So those are Feussi and Moza is two brands, but it's a single firm, right? We have the headquarters basically here in the United States in Blackwood, New Jersey. And we have the African branch. It's not limited to Cameroon. We intend to cover the whole Central Africa with all those services. in Douala, Cameroon. So, and that's the contact for, and the email address and the website for the Cameroon. And as we say, you cities, we deliver value with integrity. That's the hallmark. We want to do things differently. It's not going to be business as usual in the accounting firm. And believe me, this is not your pop and mom maybe accounting firm. We are really a streamlined, technology-driven, and ethical-driven financial and accounting firm. So we want to really do things, and this is very important to us. We have a lot of firms in Cameroon, and I can tell you the good differentiator for us is that we're gonna strive always to keep our word and to make sure that together we build a Cameroon that is more honest and more driven towards helping small businesses and make the Cameroon probably that El Dorado, that's it.
Right, the shining city.
Yes.
Civilization started here.
Mm-hmm.
We have the expertise. We should be able to showcase that. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, so we'll move to the next one. So as you see, our firm is exactly as it says. We have a global expertise, but the execution is done locally. So for small businesses, they want to be able to, they want to have some comfort level that whoever they hire as accountant will understand the peculiar of the local industry, right? And that's why we come in. Even though we are global, the execution is still at the local level. But you have that added value of that we can get both ends. Either you are from the diaspora and you want to invest, you don't know where to start. Either here in the US, we can help you also integrate that business into your existing business here in the US, or vice versa. So that's a really hallmark of our firm again. It's a global expertise, but local execution. And we have people on the ground that actually work to make that happen every single day. So as you can see here, FEMO Limited is a subsidiary to Feussi and Moser. It's a parent company and is incorporated together. We are a bilingual firm, full service under the state law of New Jersey, and for the parent and the subsidiary in Cameroon. And as we introduced before, all the partners at Feussi and Moser are actually certified public accountant. So that means we are held at a higher standard than you can imagine. CPAs, or American Institute of CPAs, is one of those CPAs of organization of over 100 years with a history of public interest and of professional services throughout the world. So that's the added comfort. We actually tell our client that you are going to have a world-class service. And our
let me interject for a second. Let me ask this question. So I see here, because I'm looking at it, because you have the American piece, so you have the African piece, and I know you're saying Central Africa, and then you talk about the CEMAC countries, right?
Yes.
And I know that they go by OHADA.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a business in Cameroon,
Mm-hmm.
Is all of Central Africa using the OHADA principles, or is it just Cameroon? Or when you're talking Central Africa, are you talking everybody using the CFA currency? Kind of let the audience know, let us know what specific areas that you cover and what those type of accounting systems are.
So there are two things here to unpack. There is the CFA and there is the OHADA. OHADA is a total of 16 countries that actually came together to have a common accounting system that investors can rely on. Because if you are an investor and you want to invest in a company, you usually find maybe a mirror company, the same company in this country, and you want to compare with. So for you to be able to assess their financial statements, you need to understand, yes, these norms are exactly the same used in Cameroon and in Cote d'Ivoire and is maybe in Mali or in Burkina Faso. So those are what the OHADA countries actually came together and actually work out those norms to make sure that all the businesses within those jurisdictions, within those initial 16 countries, can present their financial statement consistently in the same way to give investors the information they actually need. Then there is a CFA. The CFA is a different thing. You can see, even though Republic Democratic of Congo is not using CFA, but in terms of accounting, they can be using OHADA. So it's not limited to currency. It's more about a common language, a common accounting language they can use to present the financial statements to their audience.
Got it. This is awesome. Okay, cool.
Yes, so and as I say, we don't limit ourselves to financial services or to accounting services. We are also a technology-driven firm, right? And we are seasoned in softwares like SAP, like QuickBooks Online for small businesses. That kind of gives you actually 24/7 access to your financials online from the comfort of your home. So sometimes you don't even need to call the accountant if you are already trained on how to run certain reports. And we take all the steps with configuration, onboarding, and making sure that you can have that comfort level and seeing your finance. And for example, for the US clients, there is a bank feed that actually allow you to to update all your financial from your bank. As you spend, as you get paid, you can get all of that integrated into our accounting system. So we actually get that process end to end for all our entrepreneur or small businesses or aspirants. So we are really, really knowledgeable in that area.
So one other question that always comes to mind, and people ask is, your payroll system is different from your accounting system. Is there any way you provide any kind of expertise on that? Is that incorporated? What has been your exposure to that piece of the business?
So it depends. We have here two tracks, right? We have the US, where things are more streamlined, where you have softwares that can manage end-to-end, including full payroll services, including filing your taxes on a quarterly basis. But then you have Cameroon, where things are a little bit more scattered. There is not exactly a single platform that usually handle everything end-to-end, but there are other stuff that with configuration like the Sage you are seeing here, or maybe the Optima for like payroll. You can put them together and have maybe two packages with interfaces to actually manage both accounting and payroll taxes. But in addition to that, what we do for small business is like sometimes we say, okay, it's sometimes difficult to come up with that extra 500,000 just for the payroll software in Cameroon. So we kind of go together and put together an Excel-like templates that small businesses that are just starting we can offer that to them at a very, very small flat fee so that they can get off the ground and keep running before they actually get to the stage they can buy that 500,000 like France CFA software. So that's something we really, really cherish. That's why we, as a mission, as we say, we understand the struggle that entrepreneurs have to go through, especially in Cameroon, with the regulatory where everything is not really clear. At least we get some clarity in terms of their payroll on that area and some assurance.
So the 500,000 is a flat fee for the Sage software, and then that helps you, because I know that in Cameroon there are many financial deductions that are and regulatory deductions for payroll. But what you're saying is that for a more conservative fee, folks can have a constructed Excel template that they can leverage and manage on their own until they're ready to jump onto Sage.
Yes, that's what we say. And the 500,000 is more for other type of software, including Optima, that they can use for that much. But in the meantime, while they are maybe the pre-incorporation, they don't have revenue coming in, we can have that smaller version and that Excel-like template that can actually help them to get off the ground.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. That works. Okay.
Okay, yes. So the next one is those are our services, and those are not limited to those services. We have a list of, let's say, 33 different kind of services. So this is just an outline. We do accounting, we do full service bookkeeping, we do financial statement compilation, in OHADA, in IFRS, which is more of the European norms. So this call is also open to the European diaspora who kind of want to do business and or want to integrate their business into their existing structure in Europe. So we can help them, and also in US GAAP, which is like more of a United States generally accepted accounting principles.
So let me ask this question. Let me ask this question, because you talked about it's a Europe thing. Europeans can come on board too. Anybody technically listening to this call who is an entrepreneur, has a business in Cameroon, can leverage any of these services you talk about. But let me ask this question. Which ones are the most important? You know, when you come to a third world country like Cameroon, they don't specifically give you, there is no office, no center where you can go there and say, here's your template for accounting, here's your template for tax planning. Oh, and we audit you every 3 years, and you know, there's nothing like that, right? So how do I know, if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm starting out, how do I know which one of these I absolutely need to have? And what are the kinds of things I need to look out for in terms of my auditing? Because you don't want to be audited in a third world country, because they're liable to make mistakes, and areas you may get compounded by their inability to really clearly define the source of their numbers. So I want you to kind of get into, here's what you need to have. You absolutely need to have this, this, and this to start. And this one you can have later on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the most important thing is that, and people sometimes think, I mean, our original thing as an entrepreneur is sometimes because we are good at what we do, we think, no, that financial piece we can figure out later. No, right. That's not the case. We have to, when you start a business, one of the pillars is to make sure, how do I keep my records? And the records start on day one and sometime before when you start spending. So our advice is either touch base with a lawyer or an accounting firm to make sure that you have both cover. And that starts with incorporation. When you have that original idea that, yes, I want to do business, yes, get an accountant. And that's what we are here for, right? Get an accountant to kind of give you that roadmap to say, yes, give me the absolute minimum. Tell me exactly where I need to start. Don't go in by yourself. Sometimes, as I say, as an entrepreneur, we have that original thing thinking, oh, we might be able to just do everything. We already figure out how to do this business work great, but there is the record keeping that is very, very important, because we have to constantly keep in mind that we operate any business in a regulatory environment, right? We operate any business. Don't go maybe start a business and then when you go to open a bank account, they say, oh, by the way, you cannot open a bank account because you don't have the certificate of non-indebtedness, for example, in the case of Cameroon. And you are waiting, for example, for a foreign customer to pay you. That means it's going to be extremely difficult to get the money. So what we say is that get the accountant, get him to also help you to even choose the form of the business, because the form of the business you choose actually determine all the accounting ramification and tax ramification and everything down the line.
Like in Cameroon, they have établissement.
Yes.
And then they have, what's it called?
They have succursal, they have branch, they have a limited company, SNC. They have all form of companies, right? So one of the good, and that's what we step in. If Feussi and Moza, you just give me a call of FEMO Limited in Cameroon and say, yes, this is the idea, this is what we want to do. We can just give you the roadmap, and you come back 1 year later before you actually start the business. Because sometimes we encourage entrepreneurs to also plan ahead. Don't just come up with the first idea and start implementing. Sometimes when you think through, so we can get you that roadmap for a very, very simple flat fee. It's going to save you a lot of money down the road, because it's going to give you the ability to plan, to select even your business partners, to understand what business you can get involved in and what you cannot get involved in. So Those are some of the initial things that are really, really critical. Don't leave the accounting piece that, no, we're going to figure it out. I have my record in the bank. I have the bank statement. They go, no, don't say that, because there are a lot of tax and accounting ramification down the line that you need to anticipate, that you need to understand before you fully jump in.
Can you change from one to the other? Say, for instance, and I see that's why it's important for you to seek counsel before. You and I both know that rarely happens. You know, most people. So, given the situation of most entrepreneurs, they think, okay, I want to open a business in Cameroon. The first thing they think of is capital investment. Then they think of the location, and then they get employees and they're ready to go. Right? We're going to talk about training later on and the importance of having, you know, some sort of a human resource person in your firm in order to facilitate some of the issues that you will come, labor issues from employees. But from an accounting perspective, if I have started that way, how easy is it for me to change from, say, I'm an établissement and I want to become a société civile? Is that difficult, or is that even recommended?
So there are a lot of ways to handle that, right? You can outright say, yes, I'm filing to terminate this company and I want to do it instead this way, right? That's you do that when you file your financial statements. You can then opt for that route. Or you can go into a process of trying to change the article of association and all of that to change the form of the company, which is a more also extensive, because you have to go, it's like you are reincorporating the company. So that it is possible to change. You can either terminate the first one and actually move on to the next one, or you can basically say, yes, I'm just going to modify, cut here and paste here and kind of change the structure.
Did you say terminate? You said terminate one and then start a new,
a new company, yes. You can liquidate the company, right? Every company can be liquidated.
Sure.
Yes.
So in cases where there are individuals who, because one of the things, and this is the call for folks, a lot of us have dual nationality. And with dual nationality, what that means is in Cameroon right now, your dual nationality is of no consequence. So you either open up a business as a Cameroonian or as a foreigner. There are pros and cons to every. What have you seen so far in terms of the pros and cons for opening up either as a foreigner or as a national? And if one wanted to switch either way, is that recommended? And then maybe, is it because of the industry they're in? Is it easier for some in some industry? Because if you are a national and you have a green card, then it might be best for you to open up your business that way. But if you're segueing into becoming an American citizen, then what happens? So what's the best approach?
So what I think here is the best approach is, as long as you have your documents as Cameroonian, let's say the birth certificates or maybe the passport, technically you are still Cameroonian, right?
Sure.
There is actually nothing that kind of strip you outright for that nationality, but there are sensitive other industries, right? If you get into financial services and they want to drill down to understand exactly, then some laws must start to kick in and say, no, you cannot do this and you cannot do that. And that will mostly happen at the administrative level, right? Not that there is something that outright disqualify you. So sometimes I'll encourage to say, if you are Cameroonian, if you have a Cameroonian birth certificate, right, go as a Cameroonian and do your business as Cameroonian. That's for example, the approach we took. Just that even though you're a US citizen, you say, yes, we have to go exactly as Cameroonian. Because when you go as a foreigner, it might complicate depending on the type of industry you are in. For example, if you're an accountant, right, to get the license for the CIMAC region, you need to be original, to come from the CIMAC region. You need to be born there, right? You need to have one of the nationality in the CIMAC area. So, and if for some reason from the administrative front you are having some trouble, it might as well affect that license as well. So it's good to always go with the original road. And I say the advice I always give to customer also, to client, is your business is first your customers, right? If those customers are not there, they are not going to be business. So even though we kind of say, yes, let's make sure that you have that nationality, in the end, the most important thing you have to also worry about is making sure that that transition doesn't affect your clients and all of that. So there is always that piece to keep in mind. What is, if I have to switch down the road, what will be the impact on my customer base?
Okay, okay. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting, especially for some of us, you know, if you're already an American citizen, your situation is a little bit compounded.
Yes.
But carrying on into the next topic, which I really like, which is the registration process. This is huge. And you know that being my accountant, the fact that I have found myself in hot water because I wasn't aware. And I do want to say this caveat. There are a lot of good lawyers in Cameroon. There are also a lot of good lawyers who are not aware of all the information. So you may get a good lawyer to open a firm for you, but they are totally oblivious to some of the pertinent documentation that you will need further on down the line. And when you get caught in a bad situation, you'll need to hire them again to get you out of it. So this is why I love this call, because you're about to find out for yourself exactly what it is that you need. So because I'm in this already. I'm living this right now.
Yeah, so that's the registration process. So basically there are four important pillars, which is like the registre de commerce et du crédit immobilier. So you have to begin to start with that process. Then you get to the tax department, where you're gonna have important documents like the taxpayer card and those attestation to make sure you can even open a bank account. Then you have to think about the employees. And one of the funny things here is sometimes they need you to have 2 employees before you actually get that registration, which is weird, right? In terms of the process, it's like the government telling you, until you hire 2 people, you are not considering you a company, which is one of the requirements, and is a very draft. So if I was in Cameroon, I would actively advocate and even lobby for this law to be changed, because that stifles like entrepreneurial spirit. That means if you have some, maybe a firm with 1 employee, it's going to be difficult to get off the ground, because they want you to have that extra person to be able to actually get registration and the CNPS. And that CNPS, we're gonna need some critical document to do other stuff as well. So that's why you can get into that cycle of administrative procedures, and you will never get out of there. But for example, at FEMO Limited or FEUSI and Moza, we usually get the clients some comfort level on out, just let them navigate, help them to navigate all of that process seamlessly. We just say, okay, here is what we need. Give us these documents, and we're gonna just say, take that off your plate and actually deliver the end result to you, which is the creation of your company. And then that registration.
Do that? So in other words, what you're saying is, if I'm sitting in my house in, I don't know, Eritrea, or somewhere in New Jersey.
Yes.
And I'm thinking I want to open up a bakery. I contact you, and for a fee, you say, done. We'll do it for you. We'll register your company. We'll do at the taxation. We'll take care of your CNPS, depending on the employees you have. We'll register your company at the labor office. Now I'm going to pinpoint you to something. Give me a price range. It can be big, but give me something.
So it can go anywhere from, let's say $2,000 to $3,000, somewhere along that range, depending on the company, on how much. Because in Cameroon, there is also this weird tax where you are taxed based on your capital, on your initial capital, which is like unheard of, right? So your initial seed money you are trying to develop a business with, the government is already reaping part of, which is extraordinary. And those are some of the things that when I eventually really settle in Cameroon, I'm going to advocate, I'm going to lobby for those laws to be scrapped, because
yes, we will. Yes, we will.
it stifled growth, it killed the entrepreneurial spirit, because you don't understand that you come with $1 or with 1,000 francs CFA, and the government is already taking 100 out of that 1,000 just because you are creating a company.
Correct.
Right? It doesn't make any sense, and it's a percentage of your capital, which doesn't make any sense at all. So those are some of the things that usually really doesn't make sense at a Cameroon level, and that's why the industry and the participation and everything is still low, because we need to break those barriers for some people to actually jump in and feel like they can do business.
Right, right. So that's about 1.2 million to 2 million, give or takes, and that's quite a decent range. Makes sense.
Yes.
We have much to get. So I want to kind of make sure we get all your slides. There's a lot of good information here.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this is information that you need to register your company for incorporation. Okay.
From the founder, so like the name of the company, is it public or private, what form of the company, and we can advise you also based on that. What are the objectives of the company? What type of activity want to get involved in? The copy of the shareholders, either passport or residence or all of that. The non-conviction, which you can obtain it at the court where you were born. With the company register address, the rent agreement, and all of that. Company startup, the subscribe and pay capital. How much do you want to start with?
So now going back to something, because I'm going to use experience we had. So when the firm was being opened up, we were told that we were not able to open up a firm in Cameroon on our own merit. We had to have a partner.
You have to have a partner.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Why?
No, so it depends. It depends on the, and that's what I say. It depends on the form of the company and even the industry you are getting into.
Okay.
For some industry, they even require that you have a minimum of 3 partners to be able to do business. So those are some of the things that we say, depending, we can have a consultation and say, depending on what type of business, we can be upfront with you with all those different requirements and say yes. And the value added here is that you can stop in a single place, having all your businesses incorporated and set up your accounting so that on day one, you are ready, right? On day one, you are ready, because most of the time the taxes are on a monthly basis, that at the end of the first month, you are ready to do all of this, and you make sure you are on the good side of the law. Because in Cameroon, they have, there are a lot of laws that sometimes does not make sense, but we still have to abide by it, right? So sometimes those laws are really crippling businesses, but as a businessman, is still a part of doing business, right? We have to abide by it. We have to comply with those laws and regulation.
I agree. I agree. One of the things that we want to really strongly encourage entrepreneurs is when you're doing this walk, you want to do the straight and narrow walk.
Yes.
You know, our continent has been kind of framed for being one of a corruptive nation, and that's not necessarily true. There are many hardworking businesses that are following rules and regulations, and those that are not, it's not because they choose to, it's because they're unaware. And that's why this particular call is so vital, because people just do not have this information, and what you're doing here is just priceless. So thank you. What are some of these? The public notary. So here, this is nice. You need a notary in Cameroon in particular, and I'm assuming most Central African countries, in order to be able to finalize the documentation that you submit to the ministry. Is that correct?
Yes. So, and that's why, even though we are not a notary, we have great relationship with notary, because when we speak with notary as accounting firm, we kind of get the same language, and we make sure that we have that due diligence up front and stating clearly exactly what we need for our clients. So we have that privileged relationship with some public notary, where we first vet in terms of how they do business, the level of ethics they abide by, so to be part of our referral team. So when we have that, when we say we handle end to end, we don't want you to go to a public notary and do this and come with us and do this. So we take all of that under us, and then we handle that end to end. So
Awesome.
that $2,000 to $3,000 include the notary fees and everything included.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know, because I know notaries are not cheap.
Yeah,
I do know that they're not cheap. And most notaries in this part of the world are actually bona fide lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the concept of notary here is not the concept of notary. I mean, they have the same functions, but in the United States, from what we know, you can take those courses and those classes and become a notary for the state,
Mm-hmm.
but you do not have to be a lawyer.
Yes, that's but in Cameroon it's different. It's coming from the presidency, right? They have to give you the charge of the notaire to become. So it's such a process in Cameroon where the presidency is involved, where it's quite a different concept than what we are used to here in the US.
Awesome. And the other thing is this location and localization sketch of premises. It's very important to have that, because a lot of business, because we don't have a bona fide address system in Cameroon, the only way for them to really know where you are is by your sketch, right?
Yeah, it's by sketch, which is like probably one of those. Sometimes when I look at this item, I think we are still in the Middle Age, because the latitudes and the longitudes are out there free for everyone to use, right? The government can just say, yes, we are initiating, let's say, a program to actually address every single house. That will be complete, and that will create jobs, right? So it seems like we are still in a medieval place where we don't know when the latitude or where the latitude is. It's just a matter of mapping it, and probably have some subscription and rent some part of the satellite, and then have that. And people can actually be using GPS in Cameroon. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
I do. I use Google right now. If you I will tell you that there are a lot of smart individuals. They will send you their GPS location if you want to know where they are, and then you can actually map yourself there. So there are a lot of people using it. Yeah, but I will say that to your point, it almost makes sense for you to go to Google and find your location, and then just simply blow it out and print that out. I don't think you'll get a better plan de localisation than that. So. You know, I think I'm going to try that next time. Might work better. So when you're done with the documentation, here's what you're pledging to give us in terms of all the things that you, and I'm looking at yours, right? I'm seeing things I didn't have. I see the certificate of incorporation and business registration, notarized statement, taxpayer's card. I don't see I didn't have the declaration from Ohada. I did have the list of company shareholders. I didn't have a certificate for, there are a lot of things I didn't have. So what would you tell someone who, if perhaps they don't have your check sheet, what is something that, is there anything you can give them, some sort of advice to say, if you don't have this, don't move forward, or is that, or can you still move it and still try to get these documents as you go along?
Yes, so one of the things is that in Cameroon, the company, or maybe let's say the state, has probably opted to put more pressure on businesses, even on private businesses, to help others comply with some of their regulatory requirements. Let's say you are going to open a bank account. Technically, it doesn't have anything to do with whether you owe the state or not. But today, to get into a banking institution and to actually open an account, you need that, right? So one thing is always, I will now come back to it, to work with a professional who is going to give you that checklist and say, yes, here is what you need, where is what you're going from top to bottom. That's the only reliance, because in Cameroon, you don't have that much source of information out there. Even if you try to Google to understand, you will not get it, right? So your best bet is to hire a professional like us or any other firm that here is what I want to do, and then he can make sure that, especially those firms that have checklists like us, right, to say here is what we want to put together, here is the output, here is what we can expect at the end of the process. So
but what if I don't have some of these things right now? If I don't have it, if I have some and I don't have others, are you able to help us get back on track, or are we doomed?
no,
If your business does not have your HADA conformity, you might as well shut the doors.
No, there are some stuff, and it depends on individual case. We first assess what is the impact for your business moving forward, and we can, based on those individual items, we can say, yes, this is really, really critical. Here is where you're going to trip if you don't have it, and all of that. And together we can say, do we have to go back and then check with the public notary to make sure we have this based on the criticality. So it's not just, there are some that you might need, but not right away. But we are trying to say, yes, you need this, and you need that.
Okay.
Based on how critical it is for your business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the taxpayer's card, is that what we call in French carte de contribuable?
Yeah, carte de contribuable.
Okay. And basically, this is you're saying I'm in good standing, and I'm registered, and I pay my taxes.
Yes.
But I want you to go a little bit into the taxes, because one of the things I'm not sure, this is important to see, how often you're supposed to declare your taxes. That's a big thing.
Yes, declaring the taxes. For this one, there is most of the taxes are declared on a monthly basis, which is extremely cumbersome for small businesses, right? It's extremely cumbersome for small businesses, but unfortunately, it's the process. Most of them are on. Most of the form of the company in Cameroon have to actually do a monthly declaration.
And so your monthly declaration is done on the taxation office, and I understand it can also be done online.
Yes, it can also be done online as well, through a portal, but you have to sign up and get so that you can actually, but the payment is still, and I'm talking on the control of Elvis. Elvis?
Yes,
yeah, for Cameroon, the payment is still, you still have to go to the bank or do a wire transfer, right?
There are two possibilities. You can do it cash as well as you can do it a bank transfer.
Bank transfer, but you can declare online. Yes,
you can declare online.
So you declare online and then you go pay, or you pay first and then you declare?
No, you declare first. You declare first to assess the amount, then you pay.
So I asked this question with a very straight face. When you pay cash, what is the guarantee that it is reflected? You don't get a receipt. They don't take checks. Or do you get a receipt?
Yes, there's a receipt.
You get a receipt. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And these 4 documents, non-redevance or non-indebtedness, patente, your taxpayer's card, I think that's the backbone of any business. These 4, very important, of which you need to declare on a monthly basis, as you said, for some businesses, and then pay. Let me ask you this question. If you're not making any money, what are you paying?
So, for example, things like the patente are on a yearly basis.
Okay.
Now, if you are not making any money, right, you still have to go and declare 0. That you didn't, and it is valid also here in the US when you are under the regime of the sales tax. For example, even you are exempt sales are also declared along with the taxable one, right? You have to do that for small businesses usually on a quarterly basis. So usually, so that's and in terms of declaring monthly, they require you to pay some percentage of, let's say, your sales. That's to help you as a prepayment, like an installment payment to your eventual taxes. If you anticipate that you're going to make money at the end of the year, then you have to start provision that amount on a quarterly, on a monthly basis, so that at the end of the year, you don't have something due to the government. Because if you have something due, then there is penalties and everything.
Is the taxation rate, is there a flat rate, or is it subject to your income or to your cash flow?
No, it's not cash flow. It's actually revenue. So
revenue, yes. Is there a flat rate?
It depends on which tax we are talking about. Because if you are paying, for example, it depends. Because if you are paying someone, for example, abroad, if someone who doesn't have a tax ID, right, or who is a foreign national, comes and you are paying his bill, normally you are required by law to keep at least 16.5% of it, right? So that you can then give that money to the government, because there is no way for the government to actually track that person. And for you to deduct that as expense, you need to show that when I was paying that person that the tax system cannot identify, I withheld it. So there is a form with all the taxes you need to pay, with all the different tax rates. For example, you also have the VAT, you have those local taxes in terms of when you are renting, like those apartment meublés, those furnished apartments. So all those taxes are different. There are local ones, there are national ones, and all of that.
Can I assume that to get that sheet, les tarifs, the fee rate sheet, I should go to my local taxation office and they'll be able to give it to me, because they don't have it. Let me tell you straight up. Because you say this, but then you get there and you're like, je peux avoir, I like to have the tariff, and they be like, no, madame, they don't have the paper. C'est là sur le mur, and it's outdated, it's backdated, and then come to find out later when they audit you, you've made a mistake, because there are taxes everywhere. There's taxes if you're in real estate on a property. If you're working with technicians, they have taxes. There's so many different nuances. Of course, there's taxes on your revenue, which I'm finding on is 16.5%. But keep in mind, in America, right, or in most developed nations, if I make revenue of $1 million, but my expenses are $1.2 million, and I have been paying 160,000 francs every month, at the end of the year, do I get my money back?
You have a tax credit.
I get tax credit. Okay.
There is no refund. The refund is really extremely rare in Cameroon.
Okay.
To get a refund is like pulling a teeth, right? You're gonna have to like walk through the government offices. People would like you probably to give them something in return, like it's a favor, like it's not your own money. Normally they should be able to write you a check, but it's very, very complicated to get that money back. So you just have to keep that as a tax credit for future profit you can have. If in the future you have profit, then you offset.
Yeah.
I see. And that would make sense, except you and I both know, as an entrepreneur, in the beginning, cash flow can be an issue. So if you've sunk your cash into paying taxes, yes, if you can wait long enough for you to get those tax credits credited to you, then it's helpful. But in the meanwhile, you have a shortage of cash in terms for you to be able to pay off your expenses, because you're paying 16.5%. There's no real way to reconcile it. So is your rule of thumb, if your revenue is X, pay tax on that X, or is your rule of thumb factor in what your expenses are and then pay your taxes on the net?
Yeah, that's where we actually come in, right? Because every time when we declare the taxes for clients, we kind of assess, and it's a discussion, right? Because it's a business decision. We are saying, do you want to pay now or you want to pay later, right? And we make sure that whatever we advise you to take and to pay on a quarterly basis will at least cover some percentage, maybe in the range of 75 to 90% of what you're gonna owe. So
net.
That's
okay.
Yes, net of what you will owe. But it depends on what tax you're actually talking about. Because in Cameroon there is a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to ask your partner and your colleagues a few questions, but I wanted to really make sure we looked at this article, CNPS. It is a a fundamental faux pas on my part that I'm learning, because there's a lot of wrong information on the internet. I read about the history of CNPS and how it used to be primarily for government employees. And then I think it was 2015 or 14 or second, they opened it to private employers as a way to provide some form of benefits for employees. I've also been told that when you are an employer or a landlord, you're considered bushmeat, elephant meat, right? In other words, a lot of the liabilities fall onto you to provide for your employees at whatever the expense, which goes back to our conversation of how can a business really succeed if you have all these items you are responsible for straight out of the gate. But if you plan for it, it's different. So talk to us about CNPS and why this is so important.
Yeah, Elvis, can you take that one?
Okay. I think this is one of the last stages in business creation or in business registration, the CNPS. Why is it important? It's important in that every business has to be insured. And the reason for the insurance is to protect your employees for old age. That's the principal reason why you insure your employees and you put the company at in the insurance at old age. So what happens is the company goes in for the insurance, obtains a number, and as well as the employees, they don't have a number that they are registered at the same place. Wherein every month there's a monthly contribution and the deduction is calculated on their payroll, on their pay. And for that to be done, a list of documents are needed for that to be done. We have the article of association of the company. We're talking of new companies registered with CNPS or any old company that has not yet registered. These documents are needed. Now, let me say something there. These documents are needed for companies that are for companies, not for establishments. Because for establishments, they won't need an article of association. And they won't need a register of commerce.
So, and on top of what Elvis is saying, is that when you register your employer at the CNPS, you still pay part of it. It's like the same system here in the US, where there is the employee portion, is the employer portion. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, you say, oh, why am I paying all of this money? So it's basically, you're gonna have one coming from the employee's checks. If you say the employee is making, let's say 100,000, then the employee has probably around 5 or 7% to take out of there. And then you have to match also to make sure that you keep that pool of money for the old age. And it's not only the old age, it's sometimes in some profession covered disability. What happens if that guy loses his finger when he is probably in the restaurant industry, right? The CNPS technically should pay for that disability to cover the loss of income and all of that. So it's good on two fronts, right? That old age and in case there's some accident and you lose the ability to generate income.
So isn't there a separate insurance? Like they're CNPS, but isn't there like another kind of insurance, or is this it for? Because I noticed that one of the things like when we got audited was that they requested we show a medical doctor on site, not on site, some sort of a relationship, so that our employees could go to that firm, that clinic, for treatment, and it was some kind of insurance. Does this cover that, or is that additional cost to the employer?
So there are specific industry have specific role. If you look at what you pay at the CNPS, is PVID, pension vieillesse, invalidité et décès. So in case you become invalid, that normally you should have benefit flowing from that.
Okay.
But in some industry with high risk, the regulation or what they call the convention collective can require that, because the convention collective is like, there are some specific industry that came together and set the rule for that industry. Whether your company actually signed or not, you are part of that convention collective. That's why in Cameroon, when you are looking at any of those things, you have to look both what is the law saying and what are the convention collectives saying. So there are specific based on the industry that there are additional requirements you meet.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That in and by itself is, you know, I think of this as a whole class. When I said get your paper and pen out, I wasn't joking.
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole class. This is information that is not anywhere in this kind of a comprehensive format. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you. Mr. Moses, I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of talk to you a little bit and find out, I mean, how are things coming along in terms of your growth as an entrepreneur and seeing more and more people wanting to become strict and, you know, in regulation with the government? Have you seen that change? Is it the same? Is there reluctance? What has been your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, thank you. It's an opportunity. I mean, it's a great honor to meet with you again today. I know we were there in the last press call, but we did not talk. And you have been working with my partners on the backstage. I've been out, maybe. You know, I said I will make sure that I attend this call at least so we can.
Thank you. Thank
start
you.
breaking the silence. So before anything, just a caution, because we know this video might end up being available to a lot more viewers. Everything we say here is not comprehensive. It's not a final business decision that somebody can rely on. For example, there are several. One thing we might say about one business might be different from the next business. Even for businesses within one industry, you know, we believe that on a client-to-client basis, when we sit down to review the business and look at the business plan, you know, we can make better decision at that point.
Right.
So our best advice is for our clients not to just maybe look at the list that we have out there that you can use it to form a company, and you go ahead to form a company. You know, then there's a lot more cost involved with you having to redo it. Even to make an amendment in Cameroon for one item, you may have to pay the same amount of money that you paid in incorporating the business. So, you know, we are a startup, but I mean, we have been in business for a while, and we studied why that it was necessary that we, you know, extend not just in the US, but to Cameroon and Africa. Because the thing is that with the world becoming small, businesses are going to be requiring a lot more, they're going to come under a lot more regulations than they are today. And especially for Africa being, you know, we know Africa is the future of the world. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to wait until it becomes the future of the world before we go in. Just like you don't want to be a business person and you're starting today and you start up to you think until you have an audit before you start looking for an accountant. You're trying to make sure that you know because the services we are providing in Africa, we could provide it exclusively in the US and get more people for that. But because we want to go back home and prepare, and we are preparing for our retirement, we think that this is a good starting point for us to have an impact. In the US, you might not have an impact even though you might make money. But in Africa, you don't just make money. The passion of helping small businesses have a better structured, you know, business plan, and then become more successful. Cameroon has very crooked tax laws, but businesses still survive in them, right? So our goal as a CPA firm in Cameroon is not to avoid you paying those taxes that the Cameroon government is having, but to have you be able to set up your business and minimize, because if you're not careful, you end up paying taxes that you could have avoided, which is generally not the crime.
Knowledge.
So,
That's the
yes,
whole point of this, is that it does not exist. You know, you have to, information in Africa and Cameroon is money. You want to get information, it's normally after you've been audited, it's normally after the labor inspector has come to the office. But it sounds to me like more and more people are coming to you for these services.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And the key point, and especially for us as accountants, is, being a CPA, you have to, there are requirements of continued practical education, professional education that you have to meet every year. So we are constantly catching up with the laws that are changing. You might, as a business person, you might start up a business with a certain law, but 1 year down the line, everything changed. And that costs a lot of money. So our plea and our advice to the business community is that the accountant is always look at some unnecessary costs. But like one of my master teachers usually said that a woman is a necessary evil. Yeah, the accounting services are necessary evil. You cannot avoid that. I had a great teacher, Agwamat. He passed away sometime. If you're a business person and you want to grow and you want to avoid spending more money than you should consider the accounting, even though you'll be paying the money and not happy, but the truth is that you are going to save a lot of money,
In the long, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And this has been such an eye-opener for me. I can't thank you enough. I know I don't want us to go too long. It almost sounds to me like we need a part 2. One of the things that I really want to, make sure we have in the future is a face-to-face convention for really good aspiring entrepreneurs who really want that one-on-one expertise. And I am looking forward. I'm asking and making sure every entrepreneur that I speak to, every seasoned entrepreneur, kind of gives us that opportunity, because sometimes face-to-face can be a much more powerful learning experience than even any kind of video can provide. So I want to thank all of you again. I do have a quick question for Monsieur Foussi.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite Cameroon food?
Okay. Do you know pistache?
Yes, they call that egusi pudding.
Egusi, yes, that's my favorite food.
That's your favorite. I love that too. What's your favorite place to visit in Cameroon?
My favorite place to visit, I have a special place in my own village in the west country. It's in the western part of the country. It's like a hood where you go to get like palm wine and all of those things. We call that place Tamato. So when you get there, you kind of feel like it's like a bliss. You kind of feel the fresh air and everything is calm, far away from the city noises and everything. That's the place.
Is it the fresh air or the fresh palm wine? I'm trying to figure out, is it the fresh air?
There is a fresh air, and you can also enjoy some fresh power from there, straight from the source.
Oh, that's so cool. So let me give you the last word, Mr. Foussi. I want you to leave us with what you think we absolutely should know, and why entrepreneurs should continue to march forward despite everything that's going on in Cameroon or in any part in Central Africa. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, let me say something.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we give a chance to someone to ask a question before we conclude.
Oh, okay. Real quick, we're trying to make sure we don't go above too long a time.
Yes.
I can hear someone calling. So is that Mr. Taku?
Yeah, this is me. I hope you can hear me now.
We can hear you perfect. Go ahead.
Yes, first, before I ask my question or the request I have, I would like to re-applaud your efforts and the effort of these our brothers who are doing it well by making sure they put in their services in driving the activities that will help for the collective growth of Cameroon. I very much admire what you people are doing, and I listened very actively. It was a very rewarding call. I'm very happy I dialed in. So I am representing some of the people that you talk about who happen to be Cameroonians as well as established in the US, as well as Americans who want to invest in Cameroon, and we continue to struggle between which platform we should invest in as Cameroonians or as an American. So they touched part of it, part of my questions that I had. But the other part I didn't really get were the advantages of somebody coming in as a foreigner, but of a Cameroonian national foreigner. And then the other request I had was if they have a packaging kind of layout. I know he said $1,000, $2,000 to $3,000. If there's a link that you can provide that, I know at least of 5 different people who will be interested in seeing how they can source out the service of going through all the paperwork of establishing a company. I already have a company established in Cameroon, but I wish I had had this conversation with them before. Then I should have wasted all the time and did things the way that I had to go back and correct. But I know of a few people, even I myself, you can still have one company. There are other companies I'm planning to establish where I would like to make sure I get things done the right way. That way, if I'm scaling out operations, I don't really have to be worried about my accounting or the taxes and stuff like that. So if you can have a package that says for doing this company, for this service, this is how much it costs. If you have a flyer or something like that, if you can forward to Gwen so that you can send to me, then and we have contact, then I'll go to circulate this among my friends whom I know are very, very interested in coming to Cameroon to invest in other parts of Africa. I know there's so many questions. And the other thing too that I wanted to address is do you handle tax filing, monthly tax filing? Do you have like your own software that you use that to handle that, or how do you handle things like that? I'm sorry, so many questions. I just want to make sure all this comes in before I get you.
I get you 100%. Go ahead. I just want to make sure we're past the time. So go ahead and answer it, and then I will just answer the first question.
I'm done.
No, that's fine. Everything you want to know will be on ETAAN, right? ETAAN.org.
Okay.
And good, that's really good for all. Like even this presentation, I'm going to own it. It's going to be on ETAAN.org because I know you're on a phone call, so you're not able to see it. It is so precise and so well written out that it's a checklist that you can use, and you are absolutely right.
Good.
So go to ETAAN.org and pick that up. But I want them to answer your last question. That is just as important. So over to you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, so I think your last part was about the tax software.
Yes.
Yes. So either in Cameroon or here, we have software. Either some are written by ourselves, or some are standard packages that we customize. We can handle your taxes both here in the US and in Cameroon. We have the packages, separate packages, and we can also do a consolidated tax statement for you if you choose to integrate the Cameroon business into the US business or vice versa. We handle all of that as well. And we also help you to understand what are the pros and cons of either combining or not combining. Does that answer?
Wow. That is good. And Gwen, I think I'm limited in the fact that I'm just using my cell phone to be able to see some of the services. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy you answered the question. I didn't know that you are equally established here in the US. I joined the call a little bit late. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that is very good, because for my case in particular, I have a renewable energy company that I'm fully incorporated here in the US. Mm-hmm. And I've been debating how I can be able to establish an entity in Cameroon as an independent or as a satellite office. Mm-hmm. So I think this is something that I don't know if we have enough time to look into it, but this is something that I would definitely be wanting to get with ETAAN, and then to obviously collaborate with people in terms of cost and how that can be done.
Okay. No, that's great. And also the added benefit is that we can also who you on an accounting platform that can manage multi-currency, right? Even the Cameroon piece, people can be able to have access to the same database in Cameroon if you want. You can choose selected people to be able to do even the invoicing in Cameroon, and you see it here in the US real time. So very, very integrated system. We do all of that either here at Fessi and Moza here in New Jersey, or at FEMO Limited, which is our subsidiary branch in Douala, Cameroon.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
that's wonderful.
And I will tell you that
This
all this information is going to be on ETAAN. This PowerPoint presentation will be there tomorrow. Just click on it. Their information is there. And again, yes, you did join late, but all that information is going to be there because they are absolutely phenomenal. I can attest firsthand service. I do want to say that we are definitely way past the hour. So what I'm going to say to close this really quickly is I do want to so profusely thank FEMO FEMO or Fessi and Moza. I love the fact you have FEMO and Fessi and Moza. I love that. I'm going to think about doing something like that for me. But I really want to thank you profusely because it's not just only that you're here on this call, but you're sharing information that most people feel is proprietary and they use it to make money. And you're open and honest, and also you have the heart to want to help entrepreneurs. So Mr. Fessi, I'm just going to have you say something really quickly before we close.
Okay, yes. So as we say, is above all, this is not only about money, it's also about building our own country, right? There is this saying that there is no place like home, right? Cameroon is going through a tough time right now, but believe me, it's going to get better. And when it gets better and industry and springing left and right, we're going to be there to actually say, yes, we understand what it takes to start a business here. We can help you all step of the way, because ultimately when we actually develop and provide all those services, it's going to give jobs to our brother and sisters, and it's going to raise the profile of Cameroon. So what I say, it's not just about money. And above all, we say one of the hallmark of Fessi and Moza, for example, is that we don't just want to do things as usual in Cameroon. We want to do things. When you see our slogan here, we deliver value with integrity, is actually what we mean, right? It's actually what we mean. We give you the information you can rely on a partner you can trust in. So we are not just there for the accounting, we are also there to help you at every stage of your business, help you grow, help you expand, and while complying with all the taxes, regulatory system. And above all, if you are in the diaspora, you can have 24/7 access to your accounting systems to see what's going on. Right, so that's exactly what we strive to do, and what we're going to continue to do. It's a lot of sleepless nights, but we are doing that for our country, and we are doing that to make a better Cameroon.
And entrepreneurs will not have it any other way than to have sleepless nights, trust me. And on that note, I thank you all profusely for being on the call again. Please put comments down below. Please click subscribe to this channel. We're going to be talking to as many entrepreneurs as we possibly can, seasoned entrepreneurs who will help you move your business to the next level. I just want to thank Fessi and Moza and all of their staff again once more. I look forward to seeing you on the next edition of ETAAN interviews, our videocast. And so until then, stay safe, be good, and keep hustling. I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.